Hello and welcome to Out and About Art, your PGTV source for all things art in Polk County. I'm your host, Dion Spires. We here on Out and About Art love to see the art community in Polk County growing, so I'm thrilled to welcome TheatreWorks Florida as a permanent resident in their new space in Davenport. TheatreWorks Florida is a professional theater company and has been a touring company for about 10 years now, doing work in and outside Polk County. They recently settled in their brand new home space on the Davenport Community Campus. They have a full debut season on the way, and I met with artistic director Scott Cook and a few of his actresses to see their new space, learn all about their upcoming season, and what TheatreWorks Florida does. Check it out.
TheatreWorks Florida is a nonprofit 501c3 professional award-winning company that has been in existence since 2007 when we first launched in the Lakeland area as an idea. From when I went and took a tour at the Polk Theater in Lakeland, and when I had finished touring the place with the executive director at the time, there was the thought that she had wanted an in-house musical theater company. We opened with Disney High School Musical in 2008, and from there the Polk Theater thing didn't work out. But what did work out was suddenly we started to realize we wanted to tour all over the place. We found different clients, different places to go. We had Theater Winter Haven that we had toured to. We had the Bartow Performing Arts Series, and then we also ended up doing year after year, actually almost for 8 years, the Garden Theater in Winter Garden, where we would actually go up there and do what they call producer-presenter theater, where we produced the entire product and they presented it. And that was, I think we went like once a year, and that we did for 8 years. At that time, we didn't have a home. We were borrowing space from Florida Southern College. We were rehearsing at the Garden Theater when we would do our big shows. So now we needed a space on our own. We needed to produce on our own. Through some very weird twist of fate, I have absolutely no idea, because I didn't go seeking this building, this facility. The supervisor of the building came to me, or actually to a friend, and said, hey, send Scott over. There's, a theater and a dance space, and have him come over and talk to me. And when we came over and I turned on the lights, a million ideas ran through my head. There is this beautiful dance studio sitting in the dark, a theater, a shop space, storage space, all the things we could possibly need. And it's 1 block from my house. So that was really how we got in here. Is Rhonda Kelly is the woman who runs the Fresh Start program on this campus, and she is my supervisor, and her and I talked, and through a very small bunch of hoops to jump, we did our paperwork, and here we are. We wanted to open with some very family-friendly, just super fun shows that were appropriate for the space that we have in there. So the very first one is called The Marvelous Wonderettes. It is a 4-girl show, 30 songs, all 50s and 60s music that you know and love, and this zany story about these 4 girls at their prom in Act 1. And you get to experience all the zaniness of their friendship and the trials and tribulations of their life. Who gets to be picked as prom queen, which is very exciting because the whole audience weighs in on it at that, because they get to sign the ballot and you find out who wins. When you come back in Act 2, you get to experience them 10 years later at their 10-year reunion, when kind of everything has gone crazy in their life and now they're adults. So that's The Marvelous Wonderettes.
Born too late for you to notice me. To you, I'm just a kid that you wanted. Why was I born too late?
We wanted to follow it right up with The Winter Wonderettes, which takes place 6 months after the 10-year reunion, when the girls have got a little more oomph and they think that they're a great singing group now, so they are now the entertainment for Harper's Hardware Holiday Happening. And the audience is all the employees of the hardware store. And so it's very interactive, lots of fun. Definitely both shows are extremely family friendly. And then the third show of the season is our sort of bad boy rock and roll musical, rated PG-13, The Great American Trailer Park Musical. And I could go on and on talking about it, but I won't. I will tell you that it takes place in a trailer park in North Florida, and if it couldn't be a better vehicle for all of our folks to see. It is one of the funniest things you'll ever see. It was a smash hit on Off-Broadway. We personally in 2010 took it to the Orlando International Fringe Festival and walked away with 13 awards, including Best in Fest, with this particular production. So we're very proud, very excited to bring back the Great American Trailer Park Musical 8 years later. Let's fix this. We went down. Missy, Susie, Cindy Lou, ear, plaid hand to the ear, other plaid hand. Let's do the whole thing from the top. 5 and 6, up, ball change. 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, up, ball change. Drop down, drop down, drop down, hold.
This is my debut with TheatreWorks Florida. I've heard a lot of really good things about the company. I've had a lot of friends work with TheatreWorks before, and they've all loved it. I went to see Rock of Ages, and it was such a fun show, and it definitely made me want to audition again. And I really love, in particular, The Marvelous Wonderettes. It's just such a fun show, and I was just really excited to have a chance to audition for it.
This is the first show I've done in about 8 years. So it's really good just to be back in it and enjoying it. And this is such a fun group, you know, everyone in the cast, and I love working with Scott. So far it's just been a great experience.
I think my favorite part about working with Scott is that he's so high energy, and he gets right up there with you, and he does the choreography right there with you as best as he can. And he's very hands-on, and that brings a really good energy to the rehearsal space.
He is one of the most put-together directors I've ever worked with. From the time you sign up for an audition, everything is laid out. This is our show date, these are our show dates, these are our rehearsal times. By the time you get to company meeting, it's just all very, very, very professional. And aside from that, Scott and his team are very much like family. So aside from the professional aspect, it's always nice coming back to people that you have a lot of fun with, you know, especially when it's your art, your craft.
Being a professional company, you can expect great quality across the board with everything from the set designs to the costume designs to the actors that we bring in to the staff that runs the place.
Even shows that I haven't been a part of, I wasn't able to audition for, or just didn't have the availability to do with Scott. Anytime I've seen a production, I've been blown away. Everything, the set designer, the musical director, or the musical direction, everything about the show, and it's consistent. It always is consistent, no matter what show you see.
Welcome to the world of TheatreWorks Florida. This is such an important time for us, for Davenport, for Polk County, and we want people to know we're here and that we want you to come be part of our family.
I hope it exposes people to that arts aspect and makes them, whether it's that they want to join in and be a part of it or just come see it, I hope that we can reach everybody, especially in this area, who haven't had that in the past.
I hope that it brings more people towards the arts. It gets more people interested, allows for more funding. I hope a lot of the children in this area get a start at a young age, even if it's not in theater, just be exposed to the arts and want to sort of delve into it, you know, and hopefully make it a profession, or at least just grow up and have an appreciation for it, so that our arts culture doesn't sort of die out. That's my hope for it. I definitely think that it has a lot of potential, and I'm really excited for Scott and the whole TheatreWorks team to finally be stationary and perhaps not have to travel as much. Yeah, and sort of do their own thing in their own theater.
TheatreWorks Florida has never just been a theater company. It's been family-oriented since day one, sort of a philosophy we all built, the original creators built into the company that we've held on to very near and dear for 10 years. And now we're expanding our family to Davenport, to Polk County, to actually be here and be part of that area. And we want everybody to come play with us.
There's been nothing but positive feedback, so I think that's a good sign. People seem very excited to have us here, and we're excited to be here, so I think it's a recipe for success.
The TheatreWorks Florida season will kick off with The Marvelous Wonderettes running September 8th through 17th. If you can't catch that show, don't worry, because the Wonderettes will return for the holidays and the Winter Wonderettes running December 1st through 17th. Tickets and more information are available via their website, www.theatreworkfl.org. Speaking of new performance seasons, the Imperial Symphony Orchestra has been hard at work on theirs, and they have a lot of exciting music on the way for you. Beginning next month in October, the orchestra will be providing entertainment to our Lakeland area with a performance every month. They start off on October 10th and 14th with Broadway Through the Years, a pre-concert lecture series, and a performance featuring local vocalist Elizabeth Burton. Here to tell me about their lecture series and their upcoming performances are Maestro Mark Thielen and Elizabeth Burton herself. Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate you coming out to talk about the event because I'm super excited about it.
Good. Appreciate it.
So today we're talking about two events actually, your tea and lecture series and your performance. So let's start off talking about the tea and lecture series. Not even just this one specifically, but what is the tea and lecture?
Okay, it's actually called Tea and Symphony.
Oh, I'm sorry,
That's
tea and
okay,
symphony
no
lecture
problem.
series.
Tea and Symphony. And what it is, generally, except for this concert, is a little bit different, not much. Most of our concerts, our masterworks, take place on a Tuesday night. So the Tuesday before, we have people come and they get hors d'oeuvres and some wine and some snacks, and basically it's a music 101 that I do. And I present history of the composer, give them a little bit about their life and maybe the things in their life that maybe led them to write a particular piece. I talk about the piece and what to listen for, and then play excerpts for the piece. And then if we're lucky, like we're going to be lucky for this one, we'll have, maybe if we have a guest artist in, then we'll have the guest artist also come and maybe talk a little bit about it and play excerpts live instead of just audio. So that's really nice. And it's well attended and the people seem to enjoy it. And like I said, it's a music appreciation class, and you know, I've been teaching for 150 years, so it's something I'm certainly used to doing, and I really have fun with it. And it's one of the highlights of the season for me is doing that lecture series. It's just a lot of fun, and I hope the people learn and they keep coming back, so maybe they're learning something, or maybe the food is good and the wine is good.
Either way, as long as they're coming out.
We don't care.
That's a really cool feature that you guys have with your season, because it does give people kind of a connection to the show before they come to see it, and probably inspires them to come hear the music in full.
Right, and it's not something unique that we just do. Some orchestras choose to do it the night of the concert. They'll either have the conductor do it or someone like to do that lecture for them. But either way, it's great. You know, we've even explored the idea of doing it not only a week before, but also have a shorter one and a more succinct one the night of the program. So who knows what we'll do. Yeah. We're always full of surprises.
Anything can happen.
Absolutely.
Can we talk a little bit about this specific one, the first one, Broadway Through the Years? What kind of information people can expect if they come out to the lecture series?
Well, I'll probably give a brief history on Broadway itself, and then talk about the role of the orchestra during this concert, because it will be different in most of the evening, since we'll be with a singer, and so there's some things to watch out for as a conductor and as an orchestra when you're performing, not with just a singer, but any soloist. It's different in a lot of ways. So, and then we'll get more, you know, into each piece. Maybe we won't have time for each piece, but we'll kind of take the bigger numbers that maybe are some they're familiar with that they will know, and maybe do that and explain that, and then maybe one or two lesser known pieces, which we also plan to do. And one of the things that I like to do on any concert is, people want to hear familiar things. I mean, that's just the way it is. When my kids were growing up, I don't know how many times they had to watch Mulan. They were in the Mulan era and the Beauty and the Beast era, but I mean, so they've memorized the movies because they watched them so much. So why is it different with music that we love? So some familiar things are always nice, but also I want them to maybe gain some understanding of things they're not maybe familiar with, but when they go out of that concert hall, they'll be searching it out. So that's part of my role, I think, as an educator as well. Since I've been teaching for so long, I like to educate the people on maybe newer things. You know, we can do the standards, but why not stretch a little bit? So, yeah.
Now, Elizabeth, let's shift gears a little bit to the performance itself. Well, let's start off talking about you. You're a Lakeland native, which is really, really cool, but you do this professionally, so it's got a place in your heart. Can you talk about your background a little bit for the viewers?
Sure. So I went to Harrison, and I was in the musical theater department, and then I went to Florida State and got a BFA in musical theater, and then immediately moved to New York that week. Yeah. I went up for a couple days with my class, and then I stayed. So yeah, and I just started working. I did a couple shows in New York off Broadway. I did a couple national tours, The Wizard of Oz and Elf the musical, for a couple different Christmas seasons. So that was really fun. Got to travel to some really awesome places. We played the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., and the Palace in Chicago, and just about a year ago we played Madison Square Garden in New York, which was really cool and kind of epic. You know, we came out on opening night and the Empire State Building was lit up green and yellow for Buddy the Elf, and like that just doesn't really happen in here. Yeah, and I did a show about 2 years ago now, I guess, at Radio City, and so that was really exciting. It was really fun. Yeah.
So now that you've come back to Lakeland, you've been here for a few months now. Some people may recognize your face from around here. So can you talk about what you've done thus far in Lakeland since you've returned, in case people recognize you?
Spending a lot of time at All Saints Academy right now, full time there, teaching drama and music. And then I've done a couple things with Lakeland Community Theater. I've taught a few times, and also I did a reading of the last 5 years just this past May. That's probably most of, a couple fundraisers and things, Strings in Need.
Yeah. Well, I love that you're giving back to our art community, because our art community really is thriving. So to have people like you in the art community to give back, that's really
cool. One of the things that's really neat, not only about this organization, but all the arts organizations, is that we just love to use local talent.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, we can call New York and get singers, you know, but we like to use our own. Number one, that draws a bigger audience, which is always nice, but we want to show people, listen, Lakeland has a load of talent here, and not just singing, but all kinds of things. So whenever we can, we love to use our locals, and why not, you know? It's the best thing going, and it's, you know, when you sit up there and when you sit in the audience and watch your neighbor or someone that you've been in class with, or someone that you're a student of, in your case, I'm sure you'll have several students here. It's just a great feeling because you have that instant support system in the audience, and so they're home, and it's just wonderful. So it's a home game for Elizabeth, and that'll make her feel comfortable, which is nice.
It will. There'll be a lot of familiar faces in that audience, I think.
I'm sure your mom will.
Just a few. It's sold out. I hope no one wants to.
Right.
I'm just kidding.
Just some of your people.
Just kidding.
Well, that fits in great with the community orchestra too, because the whole orchestra is made up of professionals and volunteers in our area, so why not have vocalists from the same pool? So let's talk a little bit about the music that's going to pull people in. How far back, first of all, into the history of Broadway are you pulling?
Well, actually, the orchestra is going to start out with an overture. It's basically a medley, and we go I'm thinking into the 40s and 50s that the tunes from this overture would go back to. Pal Joey was when? I think
the 40s?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow. And then we go into Company was late 60s, early 70s, and we have an Evita number, and you know, and some of the more contemporary ones from the 2000s. So, you know, you can't do every year, of course, but
I know we really tried. We really were trying to do every decade.
Right. Oh, Guys and Dolls. That's certainly one. Yeah, that's a big one. So there'll be familiar ones like that as well as a few like. Well, Pal Joey is what tune is that?
Bewitched.
Bewitched, Bothered and Bewildered. So that's a standard jazz tune, and. So, but does everyone know it's from Pal Joey? No.
No, not at all. So even people who maybe aren't show tunes fans, religious show tunes fans, they might still recognize some songs. Yeah.
I think a good number of them.
Yeah, probably.
So were these chosen by the members of the orchestra or the board, or was it your selection, Elizabeth? How did these?
Well, Elizabeth and I got together a month and a half ago or something. I said, look, we need to talk about what we're going to do. And so I did some homework, she did some homework, and I had a list of things. And because you just can't go to the store and buy these arrangements. So a lot of them will be rentals from, I think it's Musical Theater International would be one place you would rent these charts from, as well as maybe the Rodgers and Hammerstein Library. So they're available, but not all of them. So we're looking for one still, but most of them we can rent, and so that's how we'll put it together. So we got together a list because Christine, our personnel manager and librarian, we weren't sure we could get all of these, even though we made the list, and so we had an alternate list as well, just in case. But we actually got lucky, and the ones that we wanted to do are all available, and so we're looking forward to it. So we got together, collaborated, and said, well, how do you like this? So, well, this is kind of a love song. Why don't we do an up number? Why don't we do this? Why don't we do a funny one? Well, the orchestra's going to do something here to give you a break, and so, yeah.
It was really organic. It was kind of fun.
Yeah,
We just
yeah.
were throwing out ideas.
And that's kind of how things really, that's how I like to do things. It starts out as an idea, and from there, it may be totally different by the time we get through, but that's okay. Absolutely. She didn't come in with demands that she had to, and I didn't come in with demands, you've got to sing this, and so.
Elizabeth, you said that this is your first time, well, you told me off camera, this is your first time performing with the ISO. Yeah. So can you talk to me a little bit more about your experience working with them thus far, for the preparation process and all of that?
Sure. Well, we had our meeting together to choose the rep, and beyond that, it's a lot of, for me, a lot of personal homework, time with with an accompanist, just getting the music down. Because the musicians are so amazing and they're all professional, we actually will only have one formal rehearsal beforehand. But when you're working with the caliber of musicians, it'll just snap together.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So
I'll probably spend the first part of the rehearsal actually rehearsing the orchestra alone, and then we'll put it with Elizabeth.
So it's a lot of homework. Right. It's a lot I got to come in ready to go. Right. Yeah.
Some of the numbers will go together, like some will be more difficult, but that's okay. We expect that. And now she lies when she says this is the first time she's performed with the ISO. You remember that?
Yes.
She was like 3 years old. I don't know how old you were. You were in middle school, weren't you? She danced. You danced with us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Early beginnings.
Yeah, I did, and that was for.
Was that for
Christmas?
Was it?
Is
I
it
thought
called
you danced
Cookies
during
and-
the dream.
Oh no, you're right.
Yeah, it was for.
You're right.
I think it was for a cookie concert.
Yes,
Maybe it's the
cookie
cookie concert
concert.
that we do. Yeah. Her mom was executive director at the time, so we
Yeah.
decided to utilize her talents and
Yeah.
put a
But
dancer
I
with
was
this tune.
Probably
So-
12 or something.
Yeah. So what? 30 years ago?
Don't say that on camera,
No. I
Mark.
know what. Okay. No, I didn't mean that.
So you have one rehearsal all together.
Yeah.
Mark, how much do you guys work before she comes into
None.
the picture? None of. Yeah.
We'll send their music out and things like that, and then it's up to them to do their homework and come in and boom, you're done. That's standard fare. It really is.
That's amazing. That's really, really impressive. Yeah.
I also feel like it's fun for the audience to know that like they're getting something very fresh in the moment, and it's
For sure, because I've seen you guys perform plenty of times, but I had no idea that it was that much of work on your own, because for someone who doesn't play an instrument like that, to imagine that short of a process, it's kind of terrifying.
Well, it's kind of now that we are fully professional and you're paying everybody, you still have a budget. We don't have unlimited budget, so they have a responsibility and an obligation now to know what they're doing before I give the first downbeat. So, like I said, most of this, I don't see anything in there that's going to say, oh my gosh, we're going to have to take an hour on this. But so you got to be careful of that too. This is a little bit harder in that you have, 12 different pieces, maybe 12 or 14. So you got to be careful of what you choose. Not to strain. I mean, she just can't belt. She can't do 12 belters, you know, during the evening. So those things are all considered when you're programming something.
So we're going to sign off in just a second, but before we go, I want you guys to kind of give a final pitch. If someone maybe hasn't seen the ISO before, or they're maybe not a musical theater fan, what's in it for them? Why should they come see the show, in your opinion?
Well, in my opinion, it's a wonderful evening out to see a wonderful symphony with a wonderful singer. It's going to be guaranteed a lot of fun. It's not just going to be, I'm going to stand on stage. I'll have a few surprises for her too that she won't know about. But I love to keep them, you know, guessing. But it'll be a fun evening, informal in a lot of ways. I mean, not our presentation, but it'll be a great evening. We'll have plenty of laughs. And we just want people to come and just have a great time in such a great venue. To do something like this. The Polk Theater is just wonderful that way. So please come out. It's October 14th. You won't be sorry that you did. Elizabeth?
That was excellent. Wow. I'm like, and signing off. No, but I think for people who aren't, what I heard you say was people who aren't musical theater fans, everyone loves to hear a good story. And every song that we're doing is a really great story. And so I think it gives everyone an opportunity to connect to something and to someone or an idea or an experience they've had that maybe they weren't prepared to that night, or maybe they thought they were the only one who's ever felt that way or had that experience. Or I think musical theater surprises you in that way. Right. Yeah, it's very universal.
And you'll get a chance to witness someone who's actually will be playing many roles that night.
Yeah.
You know, so a little backstory will be given probably for each number, and she'll be anywhere from a barmaid and a floozy to, you know, Ava Perón. So there's a big difference there. Yeah. So we'll get to see her versatility and the versatility of the orchestra as we go through the centuries. Not the centuries. You know how old I am. I've been through the centuries, but through the decades. So it's going to be a great evening. I can't wait.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm excited for the event. It's right up my alley, and I hope people come out to see it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Join Maestro Thielen to learn a bit about your favorite Broadway songs when the Tea and Symphony Lecture Series kicks off on October 10th at 5:45 p.m. The lecture will be held at Trinity Presbyterian Church in Lakeland. Then come on out to the Polk Theater to hear some of those songs beautifully performed by Elizabeth Burton. For tickets and more information on their upcoming season, visit www.imperialsymphony.org. That's all I have in store for you this month, but there's always more art going on in Polk County. Stay tuned for a list of events coming up in your area. As always, thank you for joining me, and tune in next month for more art out and about.